Hello everybody, this is Starman, and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. Well, last time, you remember, we stopped just as we were coming upon what appears to be an ambush of some type. We're halfway between the village of Sloop and the city of Silden, and getting to Silden is going to be our goal for this time. There is a quest close by that we normally would do in Chapter 2. I think we will come back and do it later, because while I think we might be able to pull it off, it will be a lot easier if we get one of our things accomplished first. But it's funny I say that, given that we are taking the most roundabout route of getting from Yavin to Krondor, having circled all the way around here, cut through the forest here, gone up north here, cleared out this whole bit here, and then coming southward along the eastern part of the western half of the kingdom. At any rate, last time we stopped off just before we came upon an ambush where it was suggested we find out what's going on before we try going through that ambush. But I'm going to try and be clever and see if we can skirt around it. Locklear heard a belch. Ahead of them, a mercenary took a last swill from a bottle of alcohol before throwing it aside. "We've got us a nice arrangement here," he said. "Me and the innkeeper of the river pilot's folly. Too bad you've decided to muck about with me. You'll be sorry you crossed swords with Srenard." Oh, and we have a magic-using rogue here. Just to show it off, since we didn't get a chance to use it last time. Let's see. Actually, it's up here. So now that rogue spellcaster cannot cast spells for 10 rounds, I think. Oh, and this poor fellow has decided to stand right in front of the spellcaster. I think I'll let Locklear heal up and let Owen finish this guy off. Yeah, you'll note that Owen is very slowly becoming something of a badass wizard. I mean, 10 damage per sword strike isn't exactly... It's not fantastic. But it's way better than he was at the very beginning. Food and lodging. And hey, looks like there's 3 of our favorite things. Claws like a cat, crooked as a snake's hits. Patch together your guesses, you won't guess this. Oh... This one, oddly enough, I don't remember. Trying everyone to see if it looks familiar. And when we can't pick, who works when he plays and plays when he works? Okay, weirdly enough, this one I do remember. It's a bard. Okay, well, nothing particularly valuable here. And it's not like we're exactly hurting on treasure for the moment, so we'll leave that one for the moment. And hey, there's that Lady of Negotiable Affection again. Anyway, the innkeeper smiled. "Welcome, gents. It's going to be dark pretty soon. You should think about spending the night. Dangerous out there." "Dangerous?" questioned Locklear. "Why's that?" The innkeeper leaned forward and whispered. "The dead have taken up refuge in these parts. They stalk the roads by night and have been attacking travelers. If I was you, I'd think about staying here tonight and getting an early start in the morning." 72 sovereigns for the night, he grumbled. "Though if you lost my beds, I'll charge you double. And we turn you out at sunrise. Oh, and there's a chamber pot in the corner if you need it. Shall I sign you on for the night?" Yeah, 72 sovereigns, no. Just no. The thing is that this is not a scam. There actually are dead roaming the roads by night. And yeah, unfortunately, there is not going to be a lot of banter to be had here. And same thing, 25 sovereigns for the night. That's a bit more reasonable, but only because we really do need to heal the party up. But resting out in the darkness is not going to hurt us at all. And, yep, it turns out that we're going to have to face them by day as well. Now, this could be a bit tricky because while tackling one rusalki at a time is fairly easy, 3-to-1 odds if you're well equipped, handling 3 of them may be a bit more than we can manage without a certain spell that we don't have yet. But we'll give this a try. And yeah, we did not ambush them, but thankfully it looks like they went after Goraf first. Let's see, set a fire to make a fire. I mean, well, one of them down. Let's try and hem this one in. Okay, Locklear definitely gonna need some restoratives. course, now I need to slowly negotiate Goraf around that. And hey, I'm going to make imitation useful. Or perhaps not. Of course, I chance hitting Locklear doing this, but thank goodness it went the other way. Okay, let's see if Grief of 1,000 Nights might stop her. And this is probably going to drain Owen, but... Okay, so next time we try and do Grief of 1,000 Nights on them all at once. We are very close to Silden now, but first we're going to take a quick little diversion because behind this little hill are 3 more chests, and these will become very important to our story later on. He got it in the woods and brought it home in his hand because he couldn't find it. The more he looked for it, the more he felt it, and when he finally found it, he threw it away. Well, this one is actually pretty easy. At the very least, I remember this one easier than the other one. A thorn. So this one gives us some keys and a spy note. Given to Isenduus of Cavil Keep the quantity of 500 rubies and 200,000 golden sovereigns, totaling a value in excess of 20,200 sovereigns. This is going to be story important later, but so we'll just leave it here for now. Death to our enemies. No living adversary shall escape the new kingdom of these isles. He will lead us to glory and provide new lands for our people. Well, this one you have to have been paying attention to the story. But who is the new leader of the Morid Hell in the north? Delicon. Which gives us more gold and more lockpicks. And the last one. Today he is there to trip you up, and he will torture you tomorrow. Yet he is also there to ease the pain when you are lost in grief and sorrow. Well, they picked the oddest way of spelling the word, but it is in fact magical booze. And that one gives us a key and a dragonstone, which will leave the dragonstone. And yeah, here's North Trail. We can see a couple of roguish sorts blocking the road to Silden. The enemy was not surprised. I don't recall having given you permission to be here. A large bull-necked man turned towards them, his fist curled before him. Turn around. We don't want any trouble. We're simply passing through. Locklear replied. Immediately, the man turned and snapped his fingers, and moments later, the battle was joined. And unfortunately, one of them did charge Owen, so no spell casting immediately, but thankfully we may actually be able to fight these guys without spell casting. Note I did say might. Oh, what the heck? Let's send Owen chasing after the archer. And Goraf can't get a clear shot at that guy. Now let's see, some fresh rations. Some more bolts to poison. I'm getting a lot more mileage out of that silver form than I ever thought I would. And hey, there's another ring of Predator. Sun God. Alright, well, we can come back for that once we've sold some things, and it looks like Scarecrow on the road. Locklear smelled fish. Looks like this road will take us into the town of Silden. Think we should go in for supplies? Yes. Soaked for ages in the rank perfume of fish scales and sea salt, the wharves of Silden seemed more like a home for a race of fishermen than the leather-skinned soldiers who trod its wooden plank docks. Traditionally the home of the less reputable, it was known for shady transactions with the slavers of Greater Kesh. Yeah, well, there are a couple of locations of note here, which this one we can't go to yet, but I don't think, let's see. Locklear tried the lock. He moved to examine the brass-plated lock, but a group of sailors wandering by made him wary. No sense risking a knock-up after this. Let's leave, he sighed. The shop, however, yep, there is one shop in town, and it is a magic shop. In the middle of the, home to pirates, thieves, and whores, and slavers. Owen surveyed the shop. Though he could see no perceptible evidence, and yeah, we get this description for a lot of the magic shops. But I think we can sell our staff here. Only one sovereign, not much. But the scroll, 75. We should be able to sell our excess ring here. We can definitely come back and sell that one later. And sell that one. And yeah, he won't take the torch. But he will take that. And yes, we can buy Silverthorn here as well. But let's see what we've got in terms of, 12 restores for 61 gold. That is not a bad price at all, but I think we can get better. Okay, so let's see what they've got in the way of spells. Let's see, we got Dragon's Breath, which we do not have. Flame Cast, which we do have. Skyfire, which we do not have, but we can pick that one up later. I'm pretty sure we can get Dragon's Breath later as well, but that was kind of useful. Hocho's Haven, I know we can definitely get that one later. Eyes of Ishap, we just sold them that one. Night Fingers, already got it. Nancre Sicarda, yeah. I'll go ahead and get this one, even though I know this one's one of the more useless spells. Skin of the Dragon, which was the one I was hoping that we might be able to get here, but you know what? If I can get the scroll later, we can just sell it. And yeah, we cannot haggle over the spell, but that one's going to be incredibly useful. And since we are flush with cash, I'll just go ahead and buy everything we don't have. And if it turns out that we get it later, well, hey, we can sell it later. Because the spell I was hoping that we might find and know where to get later that we're going to need for the quest I spoke of is Skin of the Dragon. Okay, so just double check the rest of these. Dragon's Breath, Flamecast, Skyfire. Yeah, what the heck, we'll get Skyfire too. Okay, so I think that gives us everything that we need. So, let's see, Skyfire, and we already had Stardusk, which was on there before. So, well, I'll show you how the spells work later, but just to run through what we've got. Skyfire is a lightning spell. We saw that one used on us earlier by one of the witches. You can summon lightning to strike somebody when you're standing outdoors. The catch is they have to be carrying something metal upon them. But since 90% of the warriors you're fighting are going to be carrying metal armor, that's a safe bet. Let's see. Skin of the Dragon is a very useful protective spell that makes a character immune to most damage for a number of rounds equal to however much you put into the spell. It drains someone like crazy, but to make the other fighters invincible, it's totally worth it. And Dragon's Breath, well, if you've seen Excalibur, you can guess what this one is. It's a spell that makes it foggy, so that it actually increases your chances of sneaking around if you're trying to ambush somebody before they can ambush you. And Nacre Cicatrix, I'm not sure what that one does, myself. And I think we've still got enough to get Owen's armor blessed later when we go by the Temple of Lim's Kragma, which is not too far from here. And we'll swing by the tavern and do some barding, get our gold. Surprisingly, the women are not succumbing to the Lochler charm. The man scarcely acknowledged them. "You look a sorry dog," Lochler commented, noting the long look on the man's face. "What troubles you?" "Today I drank up the last winnings I ever made in the Lancers' tourneys," he said, watching the swirling contents of his cup. "From this day forth I have to earn an unsullied day's living." Lochler arched a brow. "I wouldn't call being a Lancer a sullied profession." "No," the man replied with a pained smile, "not ordinarily. But I am beginning to advance in years, and my strength is not all it used to be. At the last Lancer's tourney, I bought a vial of Fadmir's formula. Unfortunately, before the last joust of the day, I was discovered drinking it. My lord rescinded my bond, and the master of ceremonies forbid me ever attending another tourney, so I may never seek another noble employer." Reaching into his belt, he pushed out a small vial and slapped into Lochler's palm. "All yours. I'll be happy not to see another drop of it all my life." Lochler squinted. "Why give this to us?" "I'm not specifically giving it to you," the man said. "You were just at hand when I decided to give it up. But to give you an understanding why I'm giving it up, perhaps I should show you something." Pulling up the hem of his tunic, he indicated a puckered scar which marred the flesh above his navel. "Several of the knights I defeated in the tourney gathered together, and among them decided I should be taught to listen. A hot iron shoved into your guts can be a very convincing teacher." Hey, free potion. And that traveler won't talk to us. We can, however, talk to this fellow. Lochler motioned the figure across the room. The man walked over to join them. He stood before them, eyebrows arched inquisitively. "This boy has the look of a magician about him. Has he been educated?" "I had a few tutors when I was young. My father brought them to me in our manor. An instructor once named Patris and type..." "Ha ha, impressive background, my young friend." Owen, please, you shouldn't brag so much. People might think you're someone you're not. Why the interest in my nephew's education, tavern keeper? Are you looking for a tutor for your children? Should have, question mark. My children, no children have I, at least none that I know of. I was merely concerned that a boy with talent should go to waste. So far, the only talent that my wayward nephew has shown is the talent for eating too much and complaining too volubly. I assure you he won't be wasted on anything. I feel certain of that. Could I interest you in something to eat? I would offer you something fresh, but a thief slipped in during the night and stole most of our provisions. I have some older provisions that you might take a chance on. No. I don't like the sound of old rations. No thank you, tavern keeper. Perhaps once you get fresh provisions in. Whatever you wish, stranger. Joftas and the anchorhead shall be here, should you ever wish to return. That's good to know. Thanks. And then the one last place we can go. Locklear shouted at the ship. Appearing at the railing of the ship, a golden-haired man waved down to them, advising them to steer clear of the net that was coming over the side. What ship is this? Locklear shouted. The Mist Devil this is, the sailor replied proudly, pounding the ring with a fist. Only ship fast enough to have slipped away from Captain Trenchard. That would be Amos Trask's pirate handle. We're readying to sail for the Isle of Eortis at the moment. Or Eortis at the moment. Locklear considered for a moment. How much for passage to the Isle? 30 golden sovereigns, the sailor called down. Are you interested in making the trip? If so, come up on the gangplank. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. And yeah, the Isle of Eortis. I keep wanting to say Eortis, but it's Eortis. Mysterious as the Terns and employers who made their homes in the stony cliffs of the island, the Temple of Eortis' origins were clouded to myth. Inhabited by a splinter faction, the Temple of Killian, the priestesses who took up residence on the desolate isle believed their prayers would one day summon the ancient sea god from oblivion. Well, you'll note this temple does not have the ability to let us teleport here. Locklear pulled the curtains aside. The rear section of the temple was as dramatic as was the meditation chamber. A large pool occupied the center of a lush courtyard and was hemmed on all sides by an alabaster peristyle with climbing vines. And same description as before. Locklear motioned to the figure across the room. The woman nodded and made her way across the wooden floor until she was standing before them. And, very fan-service-y priestess here. Among you there are injured whom you are looking after. The ship should return here soon. I would advise you to seek help as soon as possible. But that's why we've come. The shipmaster in Silden said we could find a healer on the island who could help us. You have been misinformed. I am not a priestess of Sung, and Eortis concerns himself solely with the denizens of his kingdom of the sea. He may act only on their behalf. Thus is his purpose as deigned by the will of Ishap, the one above all. When I was young, I was fortunate enough to have learned something about how the temples all worked. I thought I remember that a god could sometimes be compelled to act outside his purpose in return for a duty of obstinance. That is true, but Eortis is but a shadow of what he once was. Upon a time before the Valharu warred with the gods of Midkemia, his influence was as the depth and breadth of the seas, and all that moved across them. When at last he vanished, Killian assumed control of his realm, but here some of his essence of what he was still survives. We cannot communicate with a god that is lost. But if we were to act on his behalf, do you think he would grant us favor? I cannot know. If there were more of an essence of him in this place, perhaps we could commune with him and learn his thoughts. But we of the Order of Eortis are the servants of a vanished god. We see his will only in very small ways. Well, perhaps we are here to serve that will. What can we do to help you? I can see no harm in your request, but I can guarantee you no measure of success or failure in your efforts. I can depend only on what omens may tell me. Perhaps Eortis will stir from his slumber to grant his favor. Until then, the Mist Devil will bring you no longer to this isle. Can you at least give us an idea of where to start? You may be able to read the gods' will in the falling of a sparrow, but some of us are not half so clever. Of late we have had many tell us of the rusalki, which sometimes linger near the rivers, have been disturbed. If you may find them and lay them to rest, it may serve our purposes. I will warn you, however, that many of these sisters of Elim are wily and will find ways to hide their presence. Many do not wish to be sent into the halls of Lim's Cragma. You will need to be clever finding them. This is my advice. Well, thankfully, we did just happen to find the most clever of them on the way down here, the one who was possessing the fortune teller. The rest of them are all wandering along the river road that we have not gone near yet, because I did not want to risk trying to fight a bunch of them without the skin of the dragon spell. But since we have that now, we can go ahead and start doing that next time. But before we close this chapter out, let's go ahead and finish this part. As they filed out of the inner sanctum, Beyla suddenly dropped to her knees behind them. They rushed to her side, but she had already gained her feet when they reached her. "I am sorry," she said breathlessly. "Eortis' touch is sometimes overwhelming. Though I cannot understand the meaning of it, something in you has aroused his interest." "Oh my. And he has smiled on you. Good luck to you." So, yes, this is a very out-of-the-way temple. They can't offer us much in the way of services. But if we do help them out with this, we can get free healing here for the rest of the game. And we will start setting about trying to arrange that next time. We'll see you then.